Hey there. How was your day? Wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is, I'm glad you're here. Take a deep breath. Let your mind settle. In this quiet documentary, we'll explore a question that touches the future of both technology and humanity. Could nuclear energy be the key to powering artificial intelligence endlessly, safely, and sustainably? We'll walk through the science of nuclear power, the growing hunger of AI systems, and the quiet alliance forming between the two. You'll learn how energy shapes intelligence, how fission differs from fusion, and what the world might look like if we choose the atom to fuel our machines. The visuals are here for you if you want your eyes to be open. They don't need to be very relevant to the speech, always, as this is more of a therapy for your sleep and a good listening experience. You can close your eyes any time. Just listen. Let your thoughts drift across time, power, and possibility. Let's begin. Imagine you're living in an era where artificial intelligence can write poetry, diagnose diseases, and predict stock market fluctuations faster than any human ever could. But here's the catch. All of this incredible computational power comes with a price that's growing more staggering by the day. We're talking about energy consumption on a scale that makes traditional data centers look like nightlights in comparison. Right now, as you're listening to this, data centers across the globe are devouring electricity at rates that would make entire countries jealous. We're looking at a future where artificial intelligence could consume more electricity than some of the world's largest nations. And the numbers? They're absolutely mind-blowing. Current projections show that data center power capacity in the United States alone is set to skyrocket from 33 gigawatts in 2024 to a staggering 120 gigawatts by 2030. That's not just growth. That's a complete transformation of how we think about energy consumption. To put this in perspective, we're talking about electricity usage that could power entire regions, all dedicated to feeding the insatiable appetite of artificial intelligence. But here's where it gets really interesting and slightly terrifying. The shift from traditional computing to AI-powered systems isn't just about more computers. It's about fundamentally different hardware that consumes energy like nothing we've seen before. Those familiar CPU chips that have powered our computers for decades. They typically run at around 150 to 200 watts, but the GPU chips powering today's AI revolution, they're running at 700 watts for current state-of-the-art models, with next-generation chips expected to push that to 100 watts. And we're just getting started. Companies like Nvidia are pushing towards server racks that consume an absolutely astronomical 1 megawatt of power. That's 8 times more power than current top-tier systems. We're witnessing the birth of what could be called energy-hungry monsters, and they're multiplying faster than we can build power plants to feed them. The implications are staggering. Global data center electricity consumption is estimated at around 415 terawatt-hours in 2024, representing about 1.5% of global electricity consumption. But by 2030, that number is projected to more than double to around 945 terawatt-hours. In the United States specifically, data centers consumed about 4.4% of total electricity in 2023, but by 2028, they could be consuming anywhere from 6.7% to 12% of total US electricity. Let me give you a reality check on what these numbers actually mean. Data centers currently have the capacity to consume 508 terawatt-hours of electricity annually if running constantly. That's greater than the total annual electricity production for Italy or Australia. And by 2034, global consumption is expected to top 1,580 terawatt-hours, about as much as is used by all of India. Think about that for a moment. We're essentially creating a digital civilization that consumes as much energy as some of the world's most populous nations. And this isn't some distant future scenario. This is happening right now. accelerating at breakneck speed. The driving force behind this energy explosion isn't just more computers, it's the fundamental shift in how we process information. Traditional computing was relatively efficient, handling tasks in predictable linear ways. But artificial intelligence, particularly the kind of AI that can understand language, generate images, and make complex decisions, requires massive parallel processing. It's the difference between a single person solving a math problem and orchestrating a symphony with thousands of musicians. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question, every time you generate an image with AI, every time a recommendation algorithm suggests your next video to watch, you're triggering computational processes that involve billions of calculations happening simultaneously across specialized hardware. This isn't just number crunching, it's digital orchestration on a scale that's fundamentally changing our relationship with energy. The tech giants are already feeling the heat, literally and figuratively. Google's carbon emissions have risen 48% since 2019, mostly due to data center energy consumption. Microsoft's carbon emissions were almost 31% higher in 2024 than in 2020, largely driven by building data centers for AI and manufacturing AI hardware. These companies, who once prided themselves on green initiatives and carbon neutrality goals, are now grappling with the reality that their AI ambitions are directly conflicting with their environmental commitments. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Rather than backing down from AI development or accepting the environmental consequences, these tech titans are making a bold bet on an energy source that many thought was relegated to the history books. Nuclear power. This isn't just about finding more electricity, it's about finding the right kind of electricity. Artificial intelligence doesn't take breaks. It doesn't work 9 to 5. It doesn't shut down for weekends or holidays. AI systems need constant, reliable, 24/7 power delivery, and that's where most renewable energy sources hit a wall. Solar panels don't generate electricity at night. Wind turbines don't spin when the air is still. Even with battery storage, which is expensive and requires significant physical footprint, renewable energy sources struggle to provide the consistent, always-on power that AI systems demand. You can't tell a self-driving car to wait for the wind to start blowing, and you can't pause a medical diagnosis AI system because the sun went behind a cloud. This is when nuclear energy enters the picture as not just an option, but potentially the only viable solution to power our AI-driven future. Nuclear power plants can deliver hundreds of megawatts of power continuously without producing greenhouse gas emissions, regardless of weather conditions or time of day. The numbers are compelling. A single nuclear power plant can generate between 500 to 1,000 megawatts of electricity continuously for decades. That's enough to power hundreds of thousands of homes or several massive AI data centers. And unlike fossil fuel plants, nuclear facilities can run at near maximum capacity 24/7 for months at a time, providing exactly the kind of reliable baseload power that AI systems require. But here's what makes this really interesting. We're not just talking about building new nuclear plants. We're witnessing something unprecedented in the history of energy. Tech companies are literally bringing dead nuclear plants back to life. Microsoft recently signed a deal to restart 3 Mile Island, the Pennsylvania power plant that was the scene of the worst commercial nuclear accident in American history. The reactor being reopened wasn't involved in the 1979 accident, but symbolically, this represents a stunning reversal of decades of nuclear skepticism. Under the deal, Microsoft will purchase energy from the restarted plant for 20 years, with the facility providing 835 megawatts of electricity, enough to power about 700,000 homes. Never before has a US nuclear plant come back into service after being decommissioned. Never before has all of a single commercial nuclear power plant's output been allocated to a single company. This isn't just energy procurement. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about powering the digital future. Amazon has gone even further, making what might be the most comprehensive nuclear energy commitment in corporate history. They've signed 3 separate agreements to develop nuclear power projects, including deals to build several small modular reactors with a combined capacity that could exceed 5 gigawatts by 2039. To put that in perspective, that's enough electricity to power nearly 4 million homes continuously. Google, not to be outdone, has partnered with Kairos Power to develop up to 500 megawatts of nuclear capacity using next-generation reactor designs. These aren't your grandfather's nuclear plants. They're using advanced technologies like molten salt cooling systems and ceramic fuel that promise to be safer, more efficient, and more flexible than traditional nuclear designs. What we're witnessing is the emergence of what might be called the nuclear renaissance, driven not by governments or utilities, but by private companies desperate to power their AI ambitions. These aren't environmental activists or nuclear enthusiasts. These are hard-headed business leaders who've done the math and concluded that nuclear power is the only realistic path forward. The secret weapon in this nuclear renaissance is something called small modular reactors, or SMRs. These aren't the massive, custom-built nuclear plants of the past that took decades to build and cost tens of billions of dollars. SMRs are designed to be factory-built, standardized, and deployed relatively quickly. They have capacities ranging from 20 to 300 megawatts, making them perfect for powering individual data centers or small clusters of facilities. The beauty of SMRs lies in their modularity. Need more power? Add another reactor. Want to upgrade your technology? Replace individual units rather than entire plants. It's like the difference between building a custom skyscraper and assembling standardized components into the configuration you need. These reactors are designed to be walkaway safe, meaning they can shut down automatically without human intervention if something goes wrong. They use advanced fuel designs that are much more stable than traditional nuclear fuel, and many don't even require large-scale cooling systems or emergency planning zones. But here's the really exciting part. Some of these new reactor designs can be placed almost anywhere. Unlike traditional nuclear plants that require massive cooling towers and exclusion zones, many SMR designs are compact enough to fit on a few acres and safe enough to locate relatively close to population centers. The economics are compelling too. Most SMRs under development could cost less than $2 billion compared to more than $10 billion for traditional nuclear plants. Their smaller size and standardized design mean they can be built in 3 to 5 years instead of the 6-12 years required for conventional reactors. This isn't just about solving today's energy crisis. It's about fundamentally reimagining how we power civilization. We're moving from a world where energy production was centralized in massive plants located far from population centers to a distributed model where clean, safe nuclear power can be deployed wherever it's needed most. The implications extend far beyond just powering AI systems. If small modular reactors prove successful, they could revolutionize everything from industrial manufacturing to residential communities. Imagine neighborhoods powered by their own small nuclear reactors, completely independent of the electrical grid. Picture factories that never worry about power outages or fluctuating electricity prices because they have their own dedicated nuclear power source. The artificial intelligence revolution is forcing us to confront fundamental questions about energy, environment, and the future of human civilization. We're not just building smarter computers, we're reshaping the entire energy landscape of our planet. Looking at the nuclear energy landscape, we encounter an extraordinary paradox. While artificial intelligence systems demand unprecedented amounts of reliable, clean electricity, the very technology that could satisfy this appetite has remained largely untapped for decades. Nuclear power, once heralded as the energy source of the future, fell from grace following high-profile accidents and mounting construction costs. Yet today, as data centers consume electricity at rates that would power entire nations, a quiet renaissance is taking place in the nuclear industry. The numbers tell a compelling story. Modern AI training runs require continuous, uninterrupted power flows that dwarf traditional computing needs. A single large language model training session can consume as much electricity as a small city uses in a month. Unlike manufacturing plants or office buildings that can adjust their power consumption based on grid availability, AI systems demand constant, reliable electricity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This creates a unique challenge that traditional renewable energy sources struggle to meet. Wind and solar power, while environmentally friendly and increasingly cost-effective, suffer from what engineers call intermittency. The wind doesn't always blow, and the sun doesn't always shine. Battery storage systems, while improving rapidly, remain expensive and require vast physical footprints to store the energy needed for large-scale AI operations. Moreover, these storage systems typically provide only a few hours of backup power, nowhere near enough to sustain AI training runs that can last for weeks or months. This is where nuclear energy's unique characteristics become particularly attractive. Nuclear power plants operate at what's called a high capacity factor, meaning they run at full power nearly continuously, while wind farms might operate at 30% capacity over a year. Due to variable wind conditions, nuclear plants routinely achieve capacity factors above 90%. This reliability isn't just convenient for AI applications, it's essential. The artificial intelligence boom has created what energy experts describe as a demand profile unlike anything the electrical grid has encountered before. Traditional industrial loads, even the most energy-intensive ones, typically have predictable patterns and can often be scheduled during off-peak hours. Steel mills can time their production runs, aluminum smelters can adjust their operations, and even cryptocurrency mining operations can shift their computing loads to take advantage of cheaper electricity prices. AI training, however, operates under different constraints. The massive parallel processing required to train large neural networks means that stopping and restarting operations isn't just inconvenient, it's often technically impossible without losing weeks or months of computational progress. The interconnected nature of modern AI systems means that losing power to even a small portion of the computing cluster can crash the entire training run. This creates what economists call a highly inelastic demand for electricity. Unlike most industrial customers who can reduce their power consumption when prices rise or supply becomes constrained, AI operators must maintain their power draw regardless of cost or grid conditions. This inelasticity has profound implications for how we think about powering the AI revolution. Consider the scale of what's happening. The largest AI training facilities today house hundreds of thousands of specialized processors, each consuming hundreds of watts of power. These facilities operate with power densities that exceed those of traditional data centers by orders of magnitude. A single AI training rack can consume more electricity than an entire suburban neighborhood. When multiplied across the growing number of AI research facilities worldwide, the total electricity demand becomes staggering. The geographic concentration of AI development adds another layer of complexity. Unlike traditional industries that can be distributed across regions with different energy profiles, AI development tends to cluster in specific locations near universities, technology companies, and skilled workforces. This concentration creates localized demand spikes that can strain regional electrical grids and drive up prices for other users. Nuclear energy offers a solution to these challenges that no other power source can match. a single nuclear power plant can provide the massive, continuous electricity supply that AI operations require. The fuel costs for nuclear plants are remarkably low compared to fossil fuel alternatives, and once built, nuclear facilities can operate for decades with minimal fuel requirements. This long-term stability is particularly attractive to AI companies planning massive computational investments. The economics of nuclear power align well with the economics of AI development. While nuclear plants require substantial upfront capital investment, their operating costs remain stable for decades. This matches the investment profile of AI companies, which typically make large upfront investments in computing infrastructure and then amortize those costs over many years of operation. The predictable, long-term nature of nuclear power costs provides the financial certainty that AI companies need for their strategic planning. Furthermore, nuclear energy offers something that no other power source can provide at scale: carbon-free electricity that doesn't depend on weather conditions or time of day. As technology companies face increasing pressure to reduce their carbon footprints, nuclear power allows them to pursue their AI ambitions without compromising their environmental commitments. This is particularly important as AI systems become more powerful and energy-intensive. The revival of interest in nuclear power for AI applications represents more than just a practical solution to an energy challenge. It signals a fundamental shift in how we think about electricity generation and consumption. For decades, the trend in electricity markets has been towards smaller, more distributed generation sources. Solar panels on rooftops, small wind turbines, and battery storage systems have promised a future where electricity generation is democratized and distributed. The massive power requirements of AI systems challenge this distributed model. While rooftop solar might suffice for residential needs, no collection of small renewable sources can provide the concentrated, reliable power that AI training requires. This has led to renewed interest in large-scale, centralized power generation, with nuclear energy emerging as the most viable option. The technical requirements of AI systems also favor nuclear power over other alternatives. The computing processors used in AI training are extremely sensitive to power quality issues. Voltage fluctuations, frequency variations, and even brief interruptions can cause expensive equipment failures or data corruption. Nuclear plants, with their massive rotating generators and sophisticated control systems, provide the stable, high-quality electricity that sensitive AI equipment requires. The timeline for AI development also favors nuclear solutions. While the construction of new nuclear plants can take many years, the development of truly powerful AI systems also requires long-term thinking and planning. Companies investing in AI research today are making bets on technologies that may not reach full commercial deployment for a decade or more. This long-term perspective aligns well with the development timelines for nuclear power projects. The synergy between nuclear energy and artificial intelligence extends beyond simple power supply. Both technologies represent humanity's ability to harness fundamental forces of nature for beneficial purposes. Nuclear power taps into the binding energy of atomic nuclei, while AI systems attempt to replicate the information processing capabilities of biological neural networks. Both require sophisticated engineering, advanced materials, and careful safety protocols. The combination of these technologies offers the possibility of addressing some of humanity's most pressing challenges: climate change, resource scarcity, disease, and poverty all require solutions that combine massive computational power with clean, abundant energy. Nuclear-powered AI systems could accelerate the development of new medicines, optimize energy distribution networks, design more efficient transportation systems, and model complex environmental systems. As we stand at this technological crossroads, the decisions we make about energy infrastructure will shape the future of artificial intelligence and, by extension, human civilization itself. The question isn't whether AI will continue to demand more electricity, but rather how we will choose to generate that electricity. Nuclear power offers a path forward that combines the reliability, scale, and environmental benefits necessary to support the AI revolution, while addressing the urgent need for clean energy solutions. The marriage of nuclear energy and artificial intelligence represents more than a technological partnership. It embodies humanity's capacity to turn scientific understanding into practical solutions for complex challenges. As we move forward into an age of unprecedented computational power and artificial intelligence, nuclear energy stands ready to provide the clean, reliable electricity that will power the next chapter of human technological advancement. The dance between artificial intelligence and nuclear power has barely begun, yet it's already reshaping how we think about energy production and consumption in ways that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. We've established that AI's hunger for electricity is unprecedented, with data centers projected to consume as much power as entire nations by the end of this decade. We've seen how traditional renewable sources struggle to meet the constant, reliable demands of AI systems that never sleep, never pause, and never stop learning. Now we must dive deeper into the heart of this energy revolution to understand not just what nuclear power offers, but how it fundamentally changes the entire equation of artificial intelligence development. The relationship between AI and nuclear energy isn't simply about finding a bigger battery or a more powerful generator. It's about aligning two of humanity's most transformative technologies in a way that amplifies the potential of both. When we examine this partnership closely, we discover that nuclear power doesn't just solve AI's energy problems. It unlocks entirely new possibilities for what artificial intelligence can accomplish. The constant, predictable flow of nuclear energy creates a stable foundation upon which AI systems can build increasingly sophisticated capabilities, while AI's massive energy demands provide the economic justification for nuclear expansion that the industry has desperately needed. Consider the profound implications of this symbiotic relationship. For decades, nuclear power has struggled with public perception, regulatory hurdles, and economic challenges that have limited its growth despite its environmental benefits. The nuclear industry has been waiting for a compelling use case that would drive demand for new reactor construction and justify the enormous capital investments required. AI has provided exactly that catalyst. When Microsoft signs a 20-year power purchase agreement to restart 3 Mile Island, when Amazon commits billions to small modular reactor development, when Google partners with advanced reactor companies, they're not just buying electricity. They're providing the economic anchor that makes nuclear expansion financially viable. This economic transformation extends far beyond individual corporate deals. The AI boom is creating a new class of energy consumers with unique characteristics that perfectly match nuclear power's strengths. Unlike traditional industrial users who might reduce consumption during economic downturns, AI data centers represent a stable, growing, and predictable source of electricity demand. These facilities operate continuously, consuming power at consistent rates that align beautifully with nuclear plants' preference for steady baseload operation. The result is a marriage of technologies where each partner's strengths complement the other's needs. The geographic implications of this partnership are equally fascinating. Traditional data centers have typically been located near population centers or internet infrastructure hubs, but the marriage of AI and nuclear power is creating new possibilities for distributed computing. Small modular reactors can be deployed in remote locations where land is cheaper and regulatory approval may be easier to obtain. This geographic flexibility allows AI companies to build massive computational facilities without straining urban electrical grids or competing with residential users for power. The result could be a new map of technological development, with AI centers clustered around nuclear facilities in previously underdeveloped regions. But the technical synergies run even deeper than economics and geography. Nuclear power plants generate electricity through a process that's remarkably similar to how AI systems process information. Both involve complex feedback loops, precise control systems, and the management of enormous amounts of data. Nuclear plants have been pioneers in automated control systems, using sophisticated algorithms to monitor reactor conditions, adjust control rod positions, and optimize power output. These systems generate massive amounts of operational data that AI can analyze to improve plant efficiency, predict maintenance needs, and enhance safety protocols. The potential for AI to revolutionize nuclear plant operations is staggering. Machine learning algorithms can analyze patterns in reactor behavior that human operators might miss, predicting equipment failures before they occur and optimizing fuel usage to extend reactor life. AI can process real-time data from thousands of sensors throughout a nuclear facility, identifying subtle anomalies that could indicate developing problems. The result is safer, more efficient nuclear plants that can operate with higher capacity factors and lower maintenance costs. This technological convergence is already beginning to manifest in the design of new nuclear facilities. The small modular reactors being developed by companies like NuScale, Kairos Power, and X-Energy incorporate AI-driven control systems from the ground up. These systems can automatically adjust reactor parameters to match electricity demand from AI data centers, creating a responsive energy supply that can scale up or down based on computational needs. The result is a level of grid flexibility that traditional nuclear plants, with their preference for steady-state operation, have never been able to provide. The safety implications of this AI nuclear partnership are particularly compelling. Nuclear safety has always depended on multiple redundant systems and conservative operating procedures designed to prevent accidents. AI adds another layer of protection by continuously monitoring plant conditions and predicting potential problems with unprecedented accuracy. Machine learning algorithms can process vast amounts of historical operating data to identify patterns that precede equipment failures or safety events. This predictive capability allows plant operators to take preventive action before problems develop, reducing both safety risks and maintenance costs. Furthermore, AI can enhance nuclear security by monitoring for cyber threats, unauthorized access, and other security concerns. The same pattern recognition capabilities that allow AI to optimize reactor operations can also detect unusual activities that might indicate security breaches. This is particularly important as nuclear facilities become increasingly digitized and connected to broader energy networks. AI-powered security systems can provide real-time threat detection and response capabilities that human security personnel could never match. The environmental benefits of the AI nuclear partnership extend far beyond simply reducing carbon emissions from electricity generation. Nuclear power's reliability means that AI systems can operate continuously without the need for backup power from fossil fuel generators. This eliminates the carbon emissions associated with standby power systems and reduces the overall environmental footprint of AI operations. Additionally, the stable power supply from nuclear plants reduces the need for energy storage systems, which have their own environmental impacts from battery production and disposal. The partnership also creates opportunities for AI to optimize the entire nuclear fuel cycle. Machine learning algorithms can analyze uranium ore deposits to optimize mining operations, reduce waste, and minimize environmental impact. AI can optimize fuel fabrication processes to create more efficient reactor fuel, and it can help manage nuclear waste by predicting the long-term behavior of storage systems and optimizing disposal strategies. The result is a more sustainable nuclear industry that maximizes the value of every uranium atom while minimizing environmental impact. Perhaps most importantly, The AI nuclear partnership is accelerating innovation in both fields. The massive computational power available from AI systems is enabling new approaches to nuclear reactor design, safety analysis, and materials science. AI can simulate complex nuclear physics phenomena that would be impossible to model with traditional computational methods. This capability is accelerating the development of advanced reactor designs, improved safety systems, and new nuclear materials with enhanced performance characteristics. The economic spillover effects of this partnership are already becoming apparent. The demand for AI-powered nuclear facilities is driving investment in nuclear supply chains, creating jobs in reactor manufacturing, fuel fabrication, and plant construction. Communities that host new nuclear facilities benefit from stable, high-paying jobs and increased tax revenues. The nuclear industry's revival is also spurring innovation in related fields, from advanced materials, science to robotics and automation. International implications of the AI nuclear partnership are equally significant. Countries that can successfully integrate AI and nuclear power will have substantial advantages in the global economy. They'll be able to host the massive computational facilities needed for AI development while maintaining low-carbon energy systems. This creates new forms of technological sovereignty and economic competitiveness that extend far beyond traditional measures of national power. The regulatory landscape is evolving rapidly to accommodate this new partnership. Nuclear regulatory agencies are developing new frameworks for licensing AI-enhanced reactor control systems and evaluating the safety implications of AI nuclear integration. These regulatory innovations are creating new standards for how AI systems can be safely incorporated into nuclear facilities, paving the way for broader adoption of these technologies. As we look toward the future, the AI nuclear partnership promises to transform both industries in ways we're only beginning to understand. The stable, abundant power from nuclear plants will enable AI systems to tackle increasingly complex problems, from climate modeling to materials discovery to space exploration. Meanwhile, AI's optimization capabilities will make nuclear power safer, more efficient, and more economical than ever before. The convergence of these two transformative technologies represents more than just a solution to AI's energy needs. It's the foundation for a new era of human capability, where the limitless potential of artificial intelligence is matched by the abundant, clean energy needed to realize that potential. The dance between AI and nuclear power is just beginning, but it's already clear that their partnership will reshape our world in ways we're only starting to imagine. Looking at the progression of our nuclear energy and AI power discussion, we've established the unprecedented energy demands of artificial intelligence, examined how renewable sources struggle with reliability, and explored the nuclear renaissance among tech giants. Now we delve into the technical heart of nuclear power's promise for AI infrastructure. When we examine the technical specifications driving this nuclear AI convergence, the numbers are staggering. Traditional data centers operated with CPUs consuming 150 to 200 watts per chip, but today's AI workloads demand GPUs running at 700 watts for current state-of-the-art models. The trajectory is even more dramatic. Next-generation chips expected in 2024 will consume 1,200 watts, while NVIDIA's Blackwell lineup pushes power consumption to unprecedented levels. The GB200 NVL72 consumes 120 kilowatts. The upcoming GB300 racks will consume 140 kilowatts, and the future Rubin generation is expected to boost thermal design power by 50% to 180 kilowatts per rack. The upgraded Vera Rubin will double this to 360 kilowatts per rack by 2027. With NVIDIA ultimately targeting supersized 1 megawatt server racks representing 8 times more power than current GB200 racks. This exponential growth in power requirements creates a perfect storm for nuclear energy adoption. Power demand for AI inference tasks is projected to increase at a 122% compound annual growth rate through 2028, as providers work to serve billions of requests and process hundreds of trillions of tokens. The scale becomes clearer when we consider that data centers currently have the capacity to consume 508 terawatt-hours of electricity annually, if running constantly, greater than the total annual electricity production for Italy or Australia. By 2034, global consumption is expected to top 1,580 terawatt-hours, about as much as is used by all of India. The technical demands of AI workloads create unique challenges that traditional power sources struggle to meet. Unlike conventional computing, AI training and inference require continuous, uninterrupted power supply. Any fluctuation or outage can corrupt training runs that may have been running for weeks or months, representing millions of dollars in lost computation and time. This reliability requirement makes nuclear power particularly attractive, as nuclear plants typically achieve capacity factors of 90% or higher, meaning they generate electricity at or near their maximum capacity 90% of the time. The heat generated by these massive AI chips creates another technical challenge. Modern GPU clusters generate enormous amounts of waste heat that must be continuously removed to prevent thermal throttling and equipment failure. This cooling requirement can consume 30 to 50% of the total power budget for an AI data center. Nuclear plants, with their vast cooling systems already in place, can potentially provide both electrical power and cooling capacity through cogeneration systems, dramatically improving overall efficiency. Small modular reactors represent a paradigm shift in nuclear technology specifically suited to AI infrastructure needs. Unlike traditional nuclear plants that generate 1,000 megawatts or more, SMRs are designed to produce 20 to 300 megawatts, making them ideal for powering individual data centers or small clusters. The modular design allows for factory construction and transport to sites, reducing construction time from the 6 to 12 years required for traditional reactors to just 3 to 5 years. This timeline aligns better with the rapid deployment schedules demanded by AI companies racing to scale their infrastructure. The technical specifications of SMRs make them particularly well suited for AI applications. Most SMR designs incorporate passive safety systems that rely on natural forces like gravity and convection, rather than active systems requiring pumps and external power. This inherent safety reduces the complexity of operations and the potential for system failures that could interrupt power supply to critical AI workloads. The smaller emergency planning zones required for SMRs, typically 2 miles compared to 10 miles for traditional reactors, also make them more suitable for deployment near population centers, where data centers are often located. Advanced reactor designs being developed specifically for industrial applications offer even more promising technical solutions. High-temperature gas-cooled reactors can operate at temperatures up to 950 degrees Celsius, enabling not only electricity generation, but also process heat for industrial applications. Molten salt reactors, like those being developed by Kairos Power in partnership with Google, operate at atmospheric pressure and can provide both electrical power and high-temperature heat for cooling systems or other industrial processes. The electrical characteristics of nuclear power align perfectly with AI infrastructure requirements. Nuclear plants provide what electrical engineers call firm power, meaning they can generate electricity on demand regardless of weather conditions or time of day. This contrasts sharply with renewable sources that provide variable power dependent on wind and solar conditions. While battery storage can help smooth out renewable intermittency, current battery technologies can only store a few hours of energy, far less than the days or weeks of continuous power required for major AI training runs. The quality of nuclear power also meets the demanding specifications of AI infrastructure. Nuclear plants generate electricity with extremely stable frequency and voltage characteristics, essential for the precise timing requirements of AI computations. The massive rotating generators in nuclear plants also provide grid stability services through their inherent inertia, helping to maintain electrical system stability even during sudden load changes as AI systems ramp up or down. From a grid integration perspective, nuclear power offers unique advantages for AI infrastructure. Large AI data centers can represent sudden, massive loads on the electrical grid, potentially causing stability issues for other customers. Nuclear plants can be designed to provide dedicated power to AI facilities through private transmission lines, isolating these loads from the broader grid. This approach reduces the need for expensive grid upgrades while ensuring that AI operations don't interfere with other electricity customers. The technical economics of nuclear power for AI applications become compelling when considering the total cost of ownership. While nuclear plants require high upfront capital investment, their operating costs are very low and predictable over decades. For AI companies planning infrastructure investments with 20 to 30-year lifespans, the long-term cost stability of nuclear power provides significant financial advantages over volatile fossil fuel prices or the uncertain costs of renewable energy plus storage. The waste heat generated by nuclear plants, typically considered a liability, becomes an asset in AI applications. Modern AI data centers require enormous amounts of cooling, often using as much energy for cooling as for computation. Nuclear plants could potentially provide both electricity and cooling through absorption chillers powered by waste heat, dramatically improving overall system efficiency. Technical challenges remain, however. The licensing and regulatory approval process for nuclear reactors, even SMRs, involves extensive technical documentation and safety analysis. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission requires detailed analysis of every system component, safety procedure, and emergency response plan. This process, while necessary for safety, can take years and requires significant technical expertise that many AI companies lack. The technical integration of nuclear power with AI infrastructure also presents challenges. Nuclear plants are designed for steady-state operation, while AI workloads can vary dramatically depending on training schedules, inference demand, and system maintenance. Advanced control systems will be needed to manage the interaction between nuclear power generation and AI power consumption, potentially including energy storage systems to buffer load variations. Cybersecurity represents another critical technical challenge. AI data centers are already prime targets for cyber attacks due to the valuable intellectual property they contain. Nuclear plants connected to AI facilities would need robust cybersecurity measures to prevent attacks that could compromise both nuclear safety and AI operations. The technical complexity of securing both nuclear control systems and AI infrastructure simultaneously requires new approaches to cybersecurity that are still being developed. The technical promise of nuclear power for AI infrastructure is substantial, but realizing this potential requires overcoming significant engineering and regulatory challenges. The convergence of nuclear technology and artificial intelligence represents one of the most ambitious technical undertakings of our time, with implications extending far beyond just powering computers to fundamentally reshaping how we generate and use energy in the digital age. The mathematics of nuclear power generation reveal why this technology holds such promise for artificial intelligence applications. A single uranium fuel pellet, no larger than a fingertip, contains as much energy as a ton of coal. This energy density becomes absolutely crucial when we consider the voracious appetite of modern AI systems. The latest generation of AI training runs require sustained power delivery, measured not in kilowatts, but in megawatts, operating continuously for weeks or months at a time. Traditional power sources struggle with this combination of scale and consistency. solar panels produce zero electricity at night, precisely when many AI training operations prefer to run due to cooler ambient temperatures. Wind turbines sit idle during calm weather, potentially interrupting critical computational processes that cannot simply be paused and restarted. But nuclear reactors operate with the steadiness of a metronome, delivering consistent baseload power regardless of weather conditions, time of day, or seasonal variations. The reliability factor becomes even more critical when we examine the true cost of power interruptions in AI operations. A single outage during a large language model training run can waste weeks of computational work and millions of dollars in lost progress. These training processes cannot simply resume where they left off like a paused video. The intricate mathematical relationships between billions of parameters require continuous, uninterrupted processing to maintain computational integrity. This is where small modular reactors enter the picture as potential game changers for the AI industry. Unlike the massive nuclear plants of previous generations, SMRs offer a fundamentally different approach to nuclear power generation. Think of traditional nuclear plants as massive cruise ships, powerful but requiring enormous infrastructure and years of construction. SMRs are more like sleek speedboats, smaller and more maneuverable, but still carrying the fundamental advantages of nuclear technology. The modular design philosophy behind SMRs represents a manufacturing revolution in nuclear technology. Rather than constructing each reactor as a unique engineering project, SMRs can be mass-produced in factories, then transported to their installation sites. This factory-based approach promises to dramatically reduce both construction time and costs while improving quality control and safety standards. For AI applications, the sizing of SMRs proves particularly advantageous. Most SMR designs target power outputs between 50 and 300 megawatts, perfectly matching the power requirements of large data centers or AI training facilities. This means a single SMR could potentially power an entire AI campus, providing the dedicated, reliable energy supply that these computational powerhouses demand. The geographic flexibility of SMRs also aligns well with AI industry needs. Traditional nuclear plants require massive cooling systems, often necessitating locations near large bodies of water. SMRs, with their smaller size and advanced cooling technologies, can be deployed in a much wider range of locations. This flexibility allows AI companies to locate their facilities closer to population centers, reducing data transmission delays, or in regions with favorable climates for cooling computational equipment. Safety considerations, always paramount in nuclear technology, have been fundamentally reconsidered in SMR design. Many SMR concepts incorporate passive safety systems that rely on physics rather than human intervention or mechanical systems. If something goes wrong, the reactor naturally shuts down and cools itself without requiring external power or operator action. This inherent safety approach provides an additional layer of security for AI facilities, where operational continuity is absolutely critical. The economic argument for nuclear-powered AI becomes even more compelling when we consider the long-term trends in both industries. AI computational requirements continue to grow exponentially, with each new generation of models requiring significantly more training power than the last. Simultaneously, the push for carbon-neutral operations intensifies across the technology sector. Nuclear power offers a path to meet both challenges simultaneously, providing abundant clean energy that can scale with AI's growing demands. The construction timeline for SMRs also aligns better with the rapid development cycles of the AI industry. While traditional nuclear plants require a decade or more from conception to operation, SMRs promise construction timelines of 3 to 5 years. This compressed timeline allows AI companies to plan nuclear-powered facilities that can come online in sync with their computational expansion plans. International competition adds another layer of urgency to the nuclear AI equation. Countries and companies that successfully deploy nuclear-powered AI infrastructure will gain significant advantages in the global AI race. The ability to train larger models more efficiently, operate AI systems more cost-effectively, and maintain operations independent of grid constraints could determine which nations lead in artificial intelligence development. China's aggressive expansion of both nuclear power and AI capabilities illustrates this strategic thinking. The Chinese government views nuclear-powered data centers as critical infrastructure for maintaining competitiveness in the global AI landscape. Meanwhile, American companies are exploring similar approaches, recognizing that energy independence and reliability could become decisive factors in AI leadership. The symbiotic relationship between nuclear power and AI extends beyond simple energy provision. AI systems can potentially optimize nuclear plant operations, predicting maintenance needs, optimizing fuel usage, and enhancing safety monitoring. This creates a positive feedback loop where nuclear power enables more sophisticated AI development, which in turn improves nuclear plant efficiency and safety. However, the path forward is not without significant challenges. Regulatory frameworks designed for traditional nuclear plants may not easily accommodate the smaller, more distributed model that SMRs represent. Public acceptance of nuclear technology remains mixed, despite decades of safe operation in many countries. The initial capital costs for SMR deployment, while lower than traditional nuclear plants, still represent substantial investments that require careful financial planning. The integration of nuclear power with AI infrastructure also raises new technical questions. How do we design data centers that can take full advantage of nuclear power's characteristics? What backup systems are necessary when primary power is already highly reliable? How do we balance the need for energy security with the flexibility that modern AI operations require? These challenges, while significant, are not insurmountable. The convergence of nuclear technology and artificial intelligence represents one of the most promising pathways towards sustainable, scalable AI development. As both technologies continue to mature and costs continue to decline, the nuclear AI combination may well become the foundation for the next generation of artificial intelligence capabilities. The story of nuclear power and AI is still being written, but the early chapters suggest a future where clean, abundant energy enables unprecedented advances in artificial intelligence, while AI technologies help unlock the full potential of nuclear power generation. This partnership could define the next era of technological progress, creating possibilities we can barely imagine today. Looking at the nuclear energy solution for AI's unprecedented power demands, we've witnessed a remarkable transformation in how technology giants approach energy procurement. The statistics are staggering, yet sobering. Global data center electricity consumption reached 415 terawatt-hours in 2024, representing roughly 1.5% of all electricity consumed worldwide. But here's where the numbers become truly eye-opening. This consumption is projected to more than double by 2030, reaching nearly 945 terawatt-hours. To put this in perspective, that's equivalent to the entire annual electricity production of Italy or Australia being consumed just by data centers. The driving force behind this exponential growth lies in the fundamental shift from traditional computing to artificial intelligence processing. Where conventional data centers relied on CPUs consuming 150 to 200 watts per chip, the new generation of AI hardware demands significantly more power. Current state-of-the-art GPU models run at 700 watts, while 2024's next-generation chips are expected to consume 1,200 watts each. NVIDIA's latest Blackwell lineup pushes these boundaries even further, with the GB200 NVL72 consuming 120 kilowatts and the upcoming GB300 racks demanding 140 kilowatts. The trajectory is clear. NVIDIA's future Rubin generation will boost thermal design power by 50% to 180 kilowatts per rack, with the upgraded Vera Rubin doubling this to 360 kilowatts by 2027. This escalation isn't merely about individual components becoming more power-hungry. The entire architecture of AI computing is transforming. Power demand for inference tasks, the process of AI models making predictions or generating responses, is projected to increase at a compound annual growth rate of 122% through 2028. This means the electricity required to serve billions of AI requests and process hundreds of trillions of tokens will grow exponentially, far outpacing the capacity of traditional renewable energy sources to provide consistent, reliable power. The challenge extends beyond raw power consumption to the nature of AI workloads themselves. Unlike traditional computing tasks that can be scheduled during off-peak hours or distributed across different time zones, AI applications demand constant availability. Training. Large language models requires weeks or months of continuous processing, with interruptions potentially invalidating entire training runs. Inference serving must respond to user requests within milliseconds, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This creates a fundamental mismatch with renewable energy sources that depend on weather patterns and daylight cycles. Solar power, despite its dramatic cost reductions over the past decade, remains inherently intermittent. Even the most advanced solar installations can only generate electricity during daylight hours, and their output varies significantly with weather conditions, seasonal changes, and geographical location. Wind energy faces similar challenges, with output fluctuating based on atmospheric conditions that can be unpredictable over short time periods. While these renewable sources can theoretically provide much of the electricity needed for AI operations, their intermittency creates critical gaps that must be filled by other power sources. Battery storage technology, often proposed as the solution to renewable intermittency, faces significant limitations when applied to AI data center requirements. Current battery energy storage systems typically store 1 to 2 hours of energy, designed primarily for grid stabilization and peak shaving rather than extended backup power. Industry experts suggest that storage technologies in the 36 to 48-hour range would be most practical for data center operators. But even these extended storage solutions cannot address the seasonal variations in renewable energy production that occur in many regions. The economic implications are equally challenging. While the levelized cost of electricity from solar and wind has decreased substantially, the total cost of renewable energy systems, including storage, remains significantly higher than baseload power sources. Moreover, the land requirements for renewable installations capable of powering large AI data centers are enormous. A single hyperscale data center consuming 100 megawatts of power would require approximately 200 to 400 square kilometers of solar panels, depending on geographic location and efficiency assumptions. These constraints have led major technology companies to fundamentally reconsider their energy strategies. Microsoft's groundbreaking agreement to restart 3 Mile Island represents more than just a power purchase agreement. It's a strategic recognition that AI's energy demands require a different approach to electricity procurement. The reactor that will be restarted was not involved in the 1979 accident and will provide 835 megawatts of electricity exclusively to Microsoft for 20 years. This represents enough power to supply approximately 700,000 homes, but Microsoft will dedicate this entire output to supporting its AI operations. The financial commitment is substantial. Constellation Energy will invest approximately $1.6 billion over 4 years to restart the facility, with the project dependent on federal subsidies in the form of tax breaks earmarked for nuclear power in the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. This marks an unprecedented milestone in nuclear energy history. Never before has a decommissioned nuclear plant been brought back into service, and never before has all of a single commercial nuclear power plant's output been allocated to a single company. Amazon has taken an even more comprehensive approach to nuclear energy investment. The company has signed 3 separate agreements to develop nuclear power projects, including partnerships with Energy Northwest and X-Energy to build several small modular reactors in Washington state, and an agreement with Dominion Energy in Virginia to explore SMR development. Amazon's partnership with Energy Northwest will develop 4 SMRs starting with 320 megawatts and potentially expanding to 960 megawatts. Additionally, Amazon led a $500 million financing round to support X-Energy's advanced SMR designs for up to 5 gigawatts of nuclear energy, with plans to build multiple SMRs producing at least 5 gigawatts total by 2039. Google has pursued a strategic partnership approach with nuclear energy developers. The company signed a corporate agreement with Kairos Power to use multiple SMRs for 24/7 carbon-free energy to power Google's data centers and offices. The first SMR is set to launch by 2030, with additional units added through 2035, supplying up to 500 megawatts total. Kairos Power's reactors use a molten salt cooling system and ceramic pebble-like fuel, creating a low-pressure nuclear solution that offers enhanced safety characteristics compared to traditional reactor designs. The appeal of nuclear energy for AI applications extends beyond mere power generation capacity. Nuclear plants provide what engineers call baseload power, electricity, that can be generated continuously regardless of weather conditions, time of day, or seasonal variations. This reliability is crucial for AI operations that cannot tolerate interruptions. Moreover, nuclear plants typically operate at capacity factors above 90%, meaning they generate electricity at or near their maximum capacity more than 90% of the time. This compares favorably to solar installations, which typically achieve capacity factors of 15 to 25%, and wind farms, which average 25 to 35% capacity factors. The environmental benefits of nuclear energy for AI applications are equally compelling. Nuclear power plants produce electricity without greenhouse gas emissions during operation, making them an attractive option for technology companies committed to carbon neutrality goals. Google's carbon emissions have risen 48% since 2019, mostly due to data center energy consumption, while Microsoft's carbon emissions were almost 31% higher in 2024 than in 2020, primarily due to building data centers for AI and manufacturing AI hardware like semiconductors and servers. However, the nuclear renaissance in AI energy procurement faces significant challenges. The cost of building new nuclear power plants has increased nearly 20% above expectations due to construction delays and regulatory complexities. Nuclear projects have become increasingly complex to execute, inducing delays and higher costs, particularly due to safety and regulatory considerations following the 2011 Fukushima accident. 3/4 of recent nuclear construction projects have experienced significant delays, with newer reactors averaging 60% higher costs than earlier ones. Small modular reactors represent a potential solution to these construction challenges. SMRs are advanced nuclear reactors with power capacities up to 300 megawatts electric, about 1/3 the capacity of traditional nuclear power reactors. Their modular design allows for factory construction and transportation to installation sites, potentially reducing construction timelines from the 6 to 12 years required for traditional reactors to 3 to 5 years for SMRs. Most SMRs under development are projected to cost less than $2 billion, compared to more than $10 billion for traditional nuclear plants. The technical advantages of SMRs for AI applications are numerous. Their smaller scale makes them suitable for placement closer to data centers, reducing transmission losses and improving grid stability. SMRs can be deployed in configurations that match data center power requirements more precisely than large traditional reactors. Their advanced safety features, including passive cooling systems and walkaway-safe designs, address many of the concerns that have historically limited nuclear deployment. Government support for nuclear energy in AI applications is growing. The Biden administration and Congress have provided billions in funding to prevent old plants from shutting down and to support new nuclear development. The US government has provided more than $600 million to companies for SMR development since 2014, with the Department of Energy's Gateway for Accelerated Innovation in Nuclear program awarding $31.8 million in funding grants to 52 private companies since 2016. The regulatory framework is also evolving to accommodate new nuclear technologies. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission approved the first SMR design in the United States, NuScale's Advanced Light Water SMR, generating 77 megawatts electric. Standard Power has announced plans to use NuScale's SMRs for 2 nuclear plants in Ohio and Pennsylvania, providing nearly 2 gigawatts by 2029. SMRs require much less space than traditional nuclear plants and don't need the 10-mile emergency planning zone that traditional nuclear plants require, making them potentially more acceptable to communities. The global nuclear market is experiencing significant shifts as countries and companies race to meet AI energy demands. China and the United States are the most significant regions for data center electricity consumption growth, accounting for nearly 80% of global growth to 2030. Russia dominates the international nuclear market with 24 units under construction, while China leads domestically with 23 ongoing reactors. Spending on small modular reactors could grow from $5 billion today to $25 billion by 2030 and reach $670 billion by 2050, potentially delivering 190 gigawatts of SMR power by 2050. The financial markets are responding positively to nuclear energy investments tied to AI demand. Constellation's shares rose more than 20% following the 3 Mile Island announcement and have increased more than 100% year to date. Oklo has seen its shares climb over 200% in recent months. The global market for SMRs for data centers is projected to reach $278 million by 2033, growing at a compound annual growth rate of 48.72%. Yet significant challenges remain. The integration of nuclear power for AI applications presents complex infrastructure challenges. Data centers concentrate in specific locations, making their grid integration potentially more challenging than distributed loads. The aging power grid in many regions struggles to meet current demand, with at least 38 gigawatts of peak demand growth expected through 2028, driven by data centers and industrial facilities. The ultimate question of whether nuclear energy is the solution to endless artificial intelligence power demands cannot be answered with certainty. However, the convergence of AI's unique power requirements, the limitations of renewable energy intermittency, and the characteristics of nuclear power generation suggests that nuclear energy will play an increasingly important role in powering artificial intelligence operations. The investments by major technology companies, government support for nuclear development, and advances in small modular reactor technology all point toward a future where nuclear energy provides the reliable, carbon-free baseload power that AI systems require. As artificial intelligence continues to transform every aspect of human society, from healthcare and education to transportation and communication, ensuring adequate power supply becomes not just a technical challenge, but a strategic imperative. The partnership between AI and nuclear energy may well prove to be one of the most important technological relationships of the 21st century, enabling sustainable artificial intelligence development while revitalizing nuclear technology for a new generation of applications. While technological advancement has revolutionized virtually every aspect of human existence, one fundamental challenge continues to constrain our digital future: the massive and exponentially growing energy demands of artificial intelligence. As we stand at the precipice of an AI revolution that promises to transform everything from medical diagnosis to climate modeling, we face an uncomfortable reality that threatens to derail our technological ambitions before they can fully materialize. The numbers are staggering and sobering. Data centers currently consume about 4.4% of total United States electricity, but this figure is projected to potentially triple by 2030, reaching somewhere between 6.7 and 12% of our nation's entire electrical grid. To put this in perspective, if all data centers were running at full capacity today, they would consume 508 terawatt-hours of electricity annually, more than the entire annual electricity production of countries like Italy or Australia. By 2034, global data center consumption is expected to top 1,580 terawatt-hours, roughly equivalent to the total energy consumption of India, a nation of 1.4 billion people. This exponential growth stems from a fundamental shift in computing architecture. Traditional data centers relied primarily on central processing units that consumed between 150 and 200 watts per chip. However, the graphics processing units that power modern AI applications operate at dramatically higher power levels. Current state-of-the-art models run at 700 watts, while next-generation chips expected in 2024 will consume 1,200 watts each. NVIDIA's upcoming Blackwell lineup pushes these boundaries even further, with individual server racks consuming between 120 and 140 kilowatts. Looking ahead, the company is targeting server racks that consume a full megawatt of power, representing an 8-fold increase over current systems. The driving force behind this energy explosion is the unprecedented computational requirements of artificial intelligence training and inference. Power demand for AI inference tasks alone is projected to increase at a compound annual growth rate of 122% through 2028. This isn't simply about running more computers, it's about running fundamentally different types of computations that require massive parallel processing capabilities to handle the complex mathematical operations underlying machine learning algorithms. Traditional renewable energy sources, while crucial for our climate goals, face significant limitations in meeting AI's unique energy requirements. Solar and wind power are inherently intermittent, producing electricity only when the sun shines or the wind blows. While battery storage systems can help smooth out these variations, current storage technologies are expensive, require substantial physical footprints, and typically provide only 1 to 2 hours of backup power. For AI data centers that must operate continuously around the clock, this intermittency creates substantial operational challenges. Industry experts estimate that wind and solar could potentially serve roughly 80% of a data center's power demand when paired with storage systems. But some form of reliable baseload generation is essential to meet the constant 24/7 demand that AI applications require. This is where nuclear energy emerges as a compelling solution, offering several unique advantages that align perfectly with AI's energy requirements. Nuclear power plants can deliver hundreds of megawatts of continuous carbon-free electricity without the variability that characterizes renewable sources. Unlike coal or natural gas plants, nuclear facilities produce no greenhouse gas emissions during operation, making them an environmentally responsible choice for powering our AI future. Perhaps most importantly, nuclear plants can operate at extremely high capacity factors, typically running at 90% or higher availability, providing the consistent, reliable power that AI systems demand. The technology industry has taken notice of these advantages, with major companies making unprecedented commitments to nuclear energy. Microsoft's agreement to restart 3 Mile Island represents a watershed moment in nuclear energy history. Never before has a United States nuclear plant been brought back into service after being decommissioned, and never before has all of a single commercial nuclear power plant's output been allocated to a single company. Under this 20-year agreement, Microsoft will purchase energy from the restarted plant, which will provide 835 megawatts of electricity, enough to power approximately 700,000 homes. Amazon has made perhaps the most comprehensive nuclear energy commitment among technology giants, signing 3 separate agreements to develop nuclear power projects. The company is partnering with Energy Northwest to develop 4 small modular reactors, starting with 320 megawatts of capacity and potentially expanding to 960 megawatts. Additionally, Amazon led a $500 million financing round to support X-Energy's development of advanced reactor designs, with plans to build multiple facilities producing at least 5 gigawatts of total nuclear capacity by 2039. Google has taken a strategic approach through its partnership with Kairos Power, signing a corporate agreement to use multiple small modular reactors for 24/7 carbon-free energy. The first reactor is set to launch by 2030, with additional units added through 2035, ultimately supplying up to 500 megawatts of power. Kairos Power's innovative design uses a molten fluoride salt cooling system and ceramic, pebble-like fuel, creating a low-pressure nuclear solution that offers enhanced safety characteristics. These corporate commitments reflect a broader recognition that small modular reactors represent a paradigm shift in nuclear technology. Unlike traditional nuclear plants that require massive infrastructure investments and construction timelines of 6 to 12 years, SMRs are designed to be manufactured in factories and assembled on site, reducing construction time to 3 to 5 years. With power capacities ranging from 20 to 300 megawatts, they can be precisely sized to meet specific data center requirements without the need for massive transmission infrastructure. The modular nature of these systems offers unprecedented flexibility. Data center operators can start with a single reactor and add additional units as their power requirements grow, creating a scalable solution that can evolve with technological demands. Most SMRs under development are expected to cost less than $2 billion compared to more than $10 billion for traditional nuclear plants, making them more financially accessible for private companies. Safety represents another crucial advantage of modern nuclear technology. Advanced SMR designs incorporate passive safety systems that can shut down reactors and maintain cooling without external power or human intervention. These systems rely on natural forces like gravity and convection rather than active mechanical systems, providing multiple layers of protection against potential accidents. The smaller size of SMRs also means they require much less space and don't need the 10-mile emergency planning zone that traditional nuclear plants require. Despite these advantages, nuclear energy faces significant challenges that must be addressed. The cost of building new nuclear power plants has increased substantially, with projects becoming nearly 20% more expensive than expected due to delays and complexity. Construction delays have plagued recent nuclear projects, with concrete placement issues frequently causing months-long setbacks. 3/4 of recent nuclear projects have experienced significant construction delays, resulting in capital cost escalations when newer reactors average 60% higher costs than earlier ones. Regulatory approval processes add another layer of complexity. Constellation has yet to file an application with federal nuclear regulators to restart 3 Mile Island, and there's limited historical precedent for regulatory approval to restart shuttered plants. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has approved the first SMR design in the United States, NuScale's advanced light water reactor, but the regulatory framework for these new technologies is still evolving. The economic case for nuclear energy in AI applications becomes compelling when considering the unique requirements of data centers and the limitations of alternatives. While renewable energy costs have declined dramatically, the need for constant, reliable power creates situations where nuclear energy's higher upfront costs can be justified by its superior reliability and capacity factors. The alignment between data center operators' need for consistent, low-carbon electricity and SMR's ability to provide reliable baseload power creates a natural partnership. Furthermore, the global market for SMRs is projected to grow dramatically, with spending potentially increasing from $5 billion today to $25 billion by 2030 and reaching $670 billion by 2050. This growth trajectory suggests that economies of scale will drive down costs over time, making nuclear energy increasingly competitive with other power sources. The integration of nuclear power for AI applications also presents significant infrastructure challenges. Data centers tend to concentrate in specific geographic locations, making their integration into the electrical grid potentially more complex than distributed renewable energy sources. The aging power grid in many developed countries already struggles to meet current demand, and adding large concentrated loads from AI facilities will require substantial infrastructure investments. However, the strategic placement of nuclear facilities near major data center hubs could actually reduce transmission infrastructure requirements. By generating power close to where it's consumed, nuclear plants can minimize transmission losses and reduce the need for expensive, long-distance power lines. This distributed approach to nuclear deployment could create more resilient and efficient electrical systems. The climate implications of AI's energy demands make nuclear energy an essential component of sustainable AI development. Major technology companies are already seeing substantial increases in their carbon emissions due to data center expansion. Google's emissions have risen 48% since 2019, mostly due to data center energy consumption, while Microsoft's emissions were 31% higher in 2024 than in 2020, primarily due to AI infrastructure build-out. Without clean energy sources like nuclear power, the AI revolution could become a significant contributor to global carbon emissions. While data centers currently account for less than 2% of global energy use, Goldman Sachs estimates this could rise to 4% by the end of the decade, a monumental increase that would substantially impact global climate goals. The potential for nuclear fusion adds another dimension to the long-term energy outlook for AI. While fusion remains years away from commercial viability, recent breakthroughs have generated significant interest and investment. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has personally invested $375 million in Helion Energy, a private fusion company that has signed a deal to provide energy to Microsoft. The prospect of virtually limitless clean energy from fusion could eventually provide the ultimate solution to AI's energy requirements. The financial markets are responding positively to the nuclear renaissance driven by AI demand. Constellation's stock price surged more than 20% following the 3 Mile Island announcement and has risen over 100% year to date. Other nuclear companies are seeing similar investor enthusiasm, with some stocks climbing over 200% in recent months. This market response reflects growing recognition that nuclear energy represents a critical infrastructure investment for the digital economy. As AI applications become increasingly central to business operations, economic productivity, and national competitiveness, ensuring reliable power supplies becomes a strategic imperative that justifies substantial capital investments. The global nature of AI development creates additional complexity in nuclear energy deployment. China and the United States are expected to account for nearly 80% of global data center electricity consumption growth through 2030, creating concentrated demand in specific regions. China is actively exploring SMRs expected to play a significant role between 2030 and 2035, while the United States is providing substantial government support for nuclear development. Government policies and support mechanisms are crucial for the nuclear renaissance in AI applications. The Biden administration has provided billions in tax credits and funding to support nuclear energy development, while Congress has allocated substantial resources to prevent existing plants from shutting down. International cooperation on nuclear technology development could accelerate deployment timelines and reduce costs through shared research and development efforts. The convergence of AI's energy demands and nuclear technology's capabilities represents more than just a pragmatic solution to a growing problem. It reflects a fundamental shift in how we think about energy infrastructure in the digital age. The massive, concentrated power requirements of AI facilities are driving innovation in nuclear technology, accelerating the development of smaller, more flexible reactor designs that could eventually benefit a wide range of applications beyond data centers. As we stand at this technological crossroads, the decisions we make about energy infrastructure will shape the trajectory of artificial intelligence development for decades to come. The choice between accepting the limitations of intermittent renewable energy or embracing the reliable power of nuclear technology will determine whether we can fully realize AI's potential to address humanity's greatest challenges. The path forward requires careful consideration of multiple factors: economic viability, environmental impact, safety considerations, regulatory frameworks, and social acceptance. While nuclear energy offers compelling advantages for powering AI applications, successful implementation will require sustained commitment from governments, industry, and society as a whole. The nuclear renaissance driven by AI represents more than just an energy solution. It embodies our collective determination to harness technology's power while responsibly managing its consequences. As we continue to push the boundaries of what artificial intelligence can achieve, ensuring that these systems have access to clean, reliable, and abundant energy becomes not just a technical challenge, but a moral imperative for sustainable technological progress. The future of AI depends not just on advances in algorithms and computing power, but on our ability to provide the energy infrastructure necessary to support these technologies. Nuclear energy, with its unique combination of reliability, scalability, and environmental benefits, offers a pathway to an AI-powered future that is both technologically advanced and environmentally responsible. The choices we make today about energy infrastructure will determine whether artificial intelligence becomes a force for solving humanity's greatest challenges, or is constrained by the very energy limitations that once defined our pre-digital world. The escalating energy demands of artificial intelligence represent one of the most formidable challenges facing our technological future. As we've seen throughout this series, AI's hunger for power grows exponentially with each advancement. Training a single large language model can consume as much electricity as a small city uses in a year, while running inference for billions of daily queries requires data centers that operate around the clock, demanding consistent, reliable baseload power that neither solar panels nor wind turbines can provide with their inherent intermittency. This is where nuclear energy emerges, not just as a viable solution, but perhaps as the only scalable answer to AI's relentless appetite for electricity. The numbers are staggering and sobering. Data center electricity consumption is projected to more than double by 2030, potentially reaching 12% of total United States electricity demand. To put this in perspective, that's equivalent to powering entire nations like Italy or Australia solely for artificial intelligence operations. The challenge isn't simply about generating more electricity, it's about generating the right kind of electricity. AI systems cannot pause for cloudy days or windless nights. They require what engineers call baseload power, that steady, unwavering flow of electrons that keeps the digital minds humming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Traditional renewable sources, despite their environmental benefits, face fundamental limitations in meeting this demand. Solar panels produce nothing at night, wind turbines stand motionless during calm weather, and current battery storage technologies cannot economically bridge these gaps for the massive scale required by AI operations. Nuclear power plants, by contrast, operate with capacity factors exceeding 90%, meaning they produce their rated output nearly continuously throughout the year. A single nuclear reactor can generate between 800 and 1,600 megawatts of electricity consistently, enough to power millions of homes, or more relevantly, entire clusters of AI data centers. This reliability stems from nuclear fuel's extraordinary energy density. A single uranium fuel pellet, no larger than a fingertip, contains as much energy as a ton of coal or 3 barrels of oil. The artificial intelligence industry has taken notice of these advantages, leading to an unprecedented renaissance in nuclear investment. Microsoft's groundbreaking agreement to restart 3 Mile Island represents a historic first. Never before has a decommissioned nuclear plant been brought back online, and never before has an entire plant's output been dedicated to a single corporate customer. This 20-year power purchase agreement will provide Microsoft with 835 megawatts of clean, reliable electricity, demonstrating the tech industry's commitment to nuclear solutions. Amazon has made an even more comprehensive commitment, signing agreements to develop small modular reactors that could provide up to 5 gigawatts of nuclear capacity by 2039. The company is investing hundreds of millions of dollars in advanced reactor technologies, recognizing that their cloud computing empire, which powers much of the world's AI infrastructure, requires energy sources that can match their global scale and reliability requirements. Google has similarly partnered with reactor developers to deploy small modular reactors capable of generating 500 megawatts of carbon-free electricity specifically for their AI operations. These aren't distant dreams or speculative investments. These are concrete business decisions made by companies that understand the energy realities of artificial intelligence better than anyone else. The emergence of small modular reactors represents a paradigm shift in nuclear technology that could revolutionize how we power AI systems. Unlike traditional nuclear plants that require massive capital investments and decade-long construction timelines, SMRs can be manufactured in factories and deployed in just 3 to 5 years. Their modular design allows for incremental capacity additions, perfectly matching the growing demands of AI infrastructure. These smaller reactors offer unique advantages for AI applications. They can be located closer to data centers, reducing transmission losses and improving grid stability. Their inherent safety features, including passive cooling systems and underground deployment options, address many of the concerns that have historically surrounded nuclear power. Most importantly, they can provide the precise amount of baseload power needed for specific AI installations, without the massive overcapacity that traditional nuclear plants might create. The economic case for nuclear-powered AI is becoming increasingly compelling. While renewable energy sources might seem cheaper on paper, their intermittency requires expensive backup systems and storage solutions that quickly erode any cost advantage. Nuclear plants, once built, can operate for 60 to 80 years with minimal fuel costs and predictable maintenance schedules. For AI companies planning decades-long infrastructure investments, this long-term cost stability is invaluable. The energy density of nuclear fuel provides another crucial advantage. A typical nuclear plant requires just a few hundred acres of land to generate massive amounts of electricity, while equivalent solar installations would require thousands of square miles. For AI companies seeking to minimize their environmental footprint while maximizing their energy output, nuclear offers an unmatched combination of efficiency and land use optimization. The reliability factor cannot be overstated. AI training runs can take weeks or months to complete, representing millions of dollars in computational investment. A power outage during a critical training phase can destroy weeks of work and set back research timelines significantly. Nuclear plants provide the kind of rock-solid reliability that AI operations demand, with unplanned outage rates below 1% annually. The carbon footprint considerations are equally important. While tech companies have made ambitious commitments to carbon neutrality, the massive energy demands of AI threaten to undermine these goals. Nuclear power produces virtually no carbon emissions during operation, making it the only scalable technology that can support massive AI expansion while meeting climate commitments. This environmental advantage is particularly crucial as governments worldwide implement carbon pricing and emissions regulations. The technical synergy between nuclear power and AI operations extends beyond simple electricity generation. Nuclear plants produce enormous amounts of waste heat that could be captured and used for data center cooling, improving overall system efficiency. Some advanced reactor designs are specifically optimized for industrial applications, providing both electricity and process heat that could support AI infrastructure operations. The global implications of nuclear-powered AI are profound. Countries that successfully deploy nuclear AI partnerships will gain significant competitive advantages in the artificial intelligence race. China is already exploring SMR deployments specifically for data center applications, while the United States is providing hundreds of millions in government funding to accelerate nuclear development for AI applications. However, the path forward is not without challenges. Nuclear projects face complex regulatory approval processes, though these are being streamlined for SMR applications. Public perception remains a concern, despite the excellent safety record of modern nuclear technology. The skilled workforce required for nuclear operations represents another constraint, though this is being addressed through expanded training programs and automated systems. The financial markets are responding positively to nuclear AI partnerships. Constellation Energy saw its stock price surge over 20% following the 3 Mile Island announcement, while other nuclear companies have experienced similar gains. Investment in SMR technology is projected to grow from $5 billion today to $25 billion by 2030, driven largely by AI demand. The timeline for nuclear AI deployment is accelerating rapidly. Microsoft's 3 Mile Island restart could begin providing power by 2027, while Google's SMR partnership targets 2030 for initial operations. Amazon's more ambitious SMR program extends to 2039, but will provide unprecedented scale once operational. These timelines align well with projected AI growth curves, suggesting that nuclear capacity will come online just as AI demand reaches its most critical phase. The ripple effects of nuclear-powered AI extend far beyond the technology sector. The revival of nuclear manufacturing capabilities, the creation of skilled technical jobs, and the development of new reactor technologies will benefit entire regional economies. The United States has the opportunity to reclaim global leadership in nuclear technology while simultaneously dominating the AI revolution. Looking ahead, the marriage of nuclear power and artificial intelligence appears inevitable. The energy requirements are simply too massive, too consistent, and too critical to be met by any other technology. Solar and wind will continue to play important roles in the broader energy mix. But for the specific demands of AI operations, nuclear power offers unmatched advantages in reliability, scalability, and environmental performance. The question is not whether nuclear energy will power the AI revolution, but how quickly we can deploy it and how effectively we can integrate it into our technological infrastructure. The companies and countries that move fastest and most decisively in this direction will shape the future of artificial intelligence and, by extension, the future of human civilization itself. As we stand at this critical juncture, the convergence of nuclear power and artificial intelligence represents more than just a technological solution to an energy problem. It embodies our capacity to harness the most powerful forces in the universe, both the splitting of atoms and the creation of digital minds in service of human progress and prosperity. The age of nuclear-powered AI is beginning, and its implications will resonate for generations to come. Looking at the nuclear energy and AI power challenge, we've reached a critical juncture where the promise of artificial intelligence meets the harsh reality of energy physics. The exponential growth in AI processing demands has created an unprecedented hunger for electricity that traditional power sources simply cannot satisfy reliably and sustainably. The numbers tell a stark story. Data centers already consume about 4% of total US electricity, but this is just the beginning. With AI inference tasks projected to grow at a staggering 122% annually through 2028, we're looking at energy demands that could reach 12% of total American electricity consumption within just a few years. This isn't gradual growth, it's an energy tsunami. But here's where the story gets interesting. The tech giants driving this AI revolution aren't just hoping someone else will solve their energy problem. They're making massive, unprecedented bets on nuclear power. Microsoft's agreement to restart 3 Mile Island represents something that has never happened before in American energy history. Never has a decommissioned nuclear plant been brought back online. Never has an entire nuclear plant's output been dedicated to a single company. Amazon has gone even further, committing to develop up to 5 gigawatts of nuclear capacity through small modular reactors. To put this in perspective, that's enough to power about 4 million homes, all dedicated to keeping Amazon's AI systems running. Google has partnered with Kairos Power to deploy advanced reactors that use molten salt cooling systems and ceramic fuel, technologies that sound like science fiction but are rapidly becoming reality. The timing of these commitments isn't coincidental. Traditional renewable energy sources, despite their environmental benefits, face a fundamental challenge when it comes to AI applications. While wind and solar can provide roughly 80% of a data center's power needs when paired with storage, they cannot deliver the constant, reliable baseload power that AI systems require. Artificial intelligence doesn't sleep, doesn't take weekends off, and doesn't care if the wind isn't blowing or the sun isn't shining. This is where nuclear energy's unique characteristics become invaluable. Nuclear plants operate at capacity factors exceeding 90%, meaning they produce their rated power output more than 90% of the time. Compare this to solar power, which typically achieves capacity factors of 20 to 30%, or wind power at 30 to 40%. For AI applications requiring constant power, this reliability difference is transformative. The technology enabling this nuclear renaissance is fundamentally different from the massive, complex plants of the past. Small modular reactors represent a paradigm shift in nuclear design. These reactors, typically producing between 20 and 300 megawatts, can be factory-built and transported to sites rather than constructed piece by piece on location. This modular approach promises to reduce construction times from the decade-plus timelines of traditional plants to 3 to 5 years. The economics are equally compelling. While traditional nuclear plants can cost more than $10 billion and take 12 to 15 years to build, small modular reactors are projected to cost less than $2 billion with much shorter construction timelines. This cost reduction comes from standardization, factory production, and smaller scale, making nuclear power accessible to applications like data centers that need dedicated power sources. Safety improvements in modern reactor designs address many of the concerns that have historically limited nuclear expansion. Advanced reactors use passive safety systems that don't require external power or human intervention to shut down safely. Some designs, like the molten salt reactors that Google is supporting, operate at atmospheric pressure, eliminating the risk of high-pressure accidents that characterized earlier nuclear incidents. The regulatory landscape is evolving to support these new technologies. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has already approved the first small modular reactor design in the United States, and government policies, including billions in tax credits from the Inflation Reduction Act, are creating financial incentives for nuclear development. This policy support recognizes that nuclear energy is essential for achieving both energy security and climate goals. But the nuclear solution extends beyond just meeting AI's energy demands. The carbon footprint of artificial intelligence is becoming a significant concern. Google's emissions have risen 48% since 2019, primarily due to data center energy consumption. Microsoft's emissions are 31% higher than in 2020, driven by AI infrastructure. Nuclear power offers a path to massive AI deployment without proportional increases in carbon emissions. The global implications are profound. China and the United States account for nearly 80% of projected data center electricity growth through 2030. The countries that can deploy reliable, clean energy for AI applications will have significant advantages in the global technology competition. Nuclear power provides this advantage while reducing dependence on fossil fuels and improving energy security. The challenges, however, are substantial. Nuclear construction projects have historically faced delays and cost overruns. Even with improved designs and manufacturing approaches, scaling nuclear capacity to meet AI's growing demands will require unprecedented deployment speeds. The nuclear supply chain, from uranium mining to reactor manufacturing, must expand dramatically to support this growth. Public acceptance remains a hurdle, though attitudes toward nuclear power are shifting. The urgency of climate change and the recognition that renewable energy alone cannot meet all electricity needs are creating more openness to nuclear solutions. The association of nuclear power with cutting-edge AI technology may help overcome some historical resistance. International dynamics add another layer of complexity. Nuclear technology is subject to export controls and non-proliferation concerns. The countries that lead in nuclear energy for AI applications may gain significant geopolitical advantages, while those dependent on fossil fuels for their AI infrastructure may find themselves at a disadvantage. The convergence of AI and nuclear energy represents more than just a technical solution to an energy problem. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about power generation, technology deployment, and industrial strategy. The companies making these nuclear investments aren't just buying electricity, they're buying energy independence, carbon neutrality, and technological superiority. Looking ahead, the success of these nuclear AI partnerships will likely determine whether artificial intelligence becomes an environmentally sustainable technology or a major contributor to climate change. The stakes couldn't be higher. The future of AI, and perhaps our ability to address humanity's greatest challenges through artificial intelligence, may depend on our success in harnessing the atom to power the algorithm. The gravity of this moment is difficult to overstate. We're witnessing the birth of a new energy paradigm, one where the most advanced computing technologies are powered by the most concentrated energy source humans have ever harnessed. The outcome of this nuclear AI convergence will shape not just the technology landscape, but the environmental and geopolitical future of our planet. Looking at the nuclear energy developments in AI, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the intersection of technology and power generation is creating unprecedented opportunities and challenges. The sheer scale of energy consumption that artificial intelligence demands has fundamentally altered the landscape of power planning and infrastructure development across the globe. The financial implications of this energy revolution extend far beyond simple electricity bills. When we examine the economic models driving these nuclear partnerships, we discover a complex web of risk assessment, long-term planning, and strategic positioning that reflects the deep commitment major technology companies have made to artificial intelligence development. These aren't casual investments or temporary solutions. They represent fundamental shifts in how corporations think about energy security, environmental responsibility, and competitive advantage. Microsoft's 20-year commitment to 3 Mile Island exemplifies this strategic thinking. The company isn't just purchasing electricity, it's essentially underwriting the revival of nuclear power in America. This deal, worth potentially billions of dollars over its lifetime, demonstrates how AI companies are willing to make substantial long-term investments to secure the reliable, carbon-free power their data centers require. The financial structure of these agreements typically involves complex power purchase agreements that guarantee minimum purchase volumes, provide price stability, and often include provisions for additional capacity as AI demands grow. Amazon's approach reveals an even more sophisticated strategy. By investing directly in small modular reactor technology through its $500 million investment in X Energy, Amazon is positioning itself not just as a consumer of nuclear power, but as a catalyst for the entire industry's transformation. This investment strategy serves multiple purposes. It helps ensure the development of reactor designs specifically suited to data center applications. It potentially provides Amazon with preferential access to future reactor deployments. And it positions the company as a leader in the next generation of nuclear technology. The economic benefits of these nuclear partnerships extend beyond the immediate parties involved. Local communities hosting these facilities benefit from substantial job creation, tax revenue, and economic revitalization. The restart of 3 Mile Island, for instance, is expected to create hundreds of direct jobs and thousands of indirect jobs in the surrounding Pennsylvania community. The economic multiplier effects of nuclear facilities are particularly pronounced because they employ highly skilled workers with above-average wages who spend their earnings in the local economy. From a broader economic perspective, these investments are helping to revitalize America's nuclear supply chain. For decades, the lack of new nuclear construction has led to the erosion of domestic nuclear manufacturing capabilities, with many specialized components now sourced from overseas. The renewed interest in nuclear power driven by AI energy demands is creating incentives for domestic manufacturers to rebuild these capabilities, potentially strengthening America's energy independence and industrial base. The risk profiles of these nuclear investments are complex and multifaceted. Traditional financial analysis might suggest that 20 to 30-year power purchase agreements carry substantial risk, particularly given the rapid pace of technological change in both AI and energy sectors. However, the companies making these investments have concluded that the risks of not securing reliable, carbon-free power are even greater. The potential costs of power shortages, grid instability, or carbon penalties under future climate regulations far outweigh the risks of long-term nuclear commitments. Insurance considerations add another layer of complexity to these arrangements. Nuclear facilities require specialized insurance coverage, and the expansion of nuclear power for AI applications is creating new categories of risk that insurance companies are still learning to assess. The potential for cyber attacks on nuclear facilities, for instance, represents a new category of risk that didn't exist when most current nuclear plants were designed and built. The international competitive implications of these investments cannot be overlooked. China's aggressive expansion of nuclear power, including significant investments in small modular reactor technology, represents a strategic challenge to American technological leadership. The willingness of American technology companies to invest in nuclear power helps maintain America's competitive position in both AI development and advanced nuclear technology. Regulatory economics also play a crucial role in these decisions. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission's approach to licensing new reactor designs particularly small modular reactors, directly impacts the economics of these investments. Streamlined regulatory processes could significantly reduce the time and cost required to deploy new nuclear capacity, making these investments more attractive and economically viable. The environmental economics of nuclear power for AI applications present a compelling case study in how climate considerations are reshaping business decisions. The avoided carbon emissions from these nuclear facilities, when compared to fossil fuel alternatives, represent substantial environmental benefits that are increasingly being valued in corporate decision-making processes. Many companies are incorporating internal carbon pricing into their investment decisions, making low-carbon nuclear power more economically attractive than it might appear based solely on electricity costs. Grid integration costs represent another important economic consideration. Unlike renewable energy sources that require extensive transmission infrastructure and backup power systems, nuclear facilities can be located relatively close to data centers and provide consistent power output. This proximity reduces transmission losses and infrastructure costs while improving reliability. The long-term economic sustainability of these nuclear investments depends partly on the continued growth of AI applications and energy demands. However, the companies making these investments have concluded that AI represents a permanent shift in computing paradigms rather than a temporary trend. The training of large language models, the deployment of AI applications across industries, and the development of artificial general intelligence all point towards sustained growth in computational demands. The financing mechanisms for these nuclear projects are themselves innovative. Rather than traditional utility financing models, these partnerships often involve corporate credit backing, power purchase agreements, and direct equity investments. This corporate involvement provides nuclear developers with more certain revenue streams and lower financing costs, potentially making nuclear projects more economically viable than they have been in decades. The economic impact of these investments extends to the broader energy sector. By demonstrating corporate willingness to pay premium prices for reliable, carbon-free power, these nuclear partnerships are helping to establish market value for clean energy attributes that weren't previously monetized. This could influence pricing in other energy markets and encourage additional clean energy investments. Looking ahead, the economic success of these nuclear investments will likely influence future energy infrastructure decisions across multiple industries. If these partnerships prove successful, we can expect to see similar arrangements in other energy-intensive sectors, such as cryptocurrency mining, industrial manufacturing, and large-scale computing applications. The economic transformation being driven by AI's energy demands represents more than just a shift in power generation. It's a fundamental reimagining of how corporations approach energy procurement, risk management, and long-term strategic planning. These nuclear partnerships are pioneering new models of corporate energy investment that could reshape the entire energy industry for decades to come. The success of these investments will ultimately be measured not just in terms of reliable power delivery and cost management, but in their ability to enable the continued growth and development of artificial intelligence capabilities that are transforming every aspect of our economy and society. In this context, nuclear energy isn't just solving AI's power problem, it's enabling the future of human technological advancement. As we drift deeper into the nuclear conversation, we find ourselves at a fascinating crossroads where the immense power that lights stars meets the insatiable hunger of artificial intelligence. The numbers we've explored paint a picture that's both thrilling and sobering. AI's energy appetite isn't just growing, it's exploding at a rate that makes even the most ambitious renewable energy projections seem quaint. Think about this for a moment. We're witnessing the birth of a new kind of civilization, one where digital minds work alongside human ones, processing information at speeds that would make the fastest human thinker seem glacial. But these digital minds are hungry, perpetually hungry, consuming electricity at rates that dwarf entire nations. The latest AI training runs require more power than small countries use in a year, and we're only at the beginning of this revolution. The traditional energy sources we've relied upon for decades suddenly seem inadequate for this new reality. Solar panels and wind turbines, for all their environmental benefits, carry the fundamental limitation of intermittency. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, but artificial intelligence never sleeps. It processes, calculates, and learns 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is where nuclear energy reveals its true character. Unlike its renewable cousins, nuclear power doesn't depend on weather patterns or seasonal variations. It's the steady heartbeat of the energy world, providing consistent, reliable power that matches the relentless demands of AI systems. When Microsoft signed that historic deal to restart 3 Mile Island, they weren't just making an energy purchase, they were acknowledging a fundamental truth about the future. The relationship between nuclear power and artificial intelligence represents something deeper than mere energy supply and demand. It's a partnership between two of humanity's most sophisticated technologies, each pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Nuclear reactors, with their precisely controlled fusion reactions, mirror the controlled complexity of AI systems with their carefully orchestrated neural networks. Consider the elegance of this pairing. Nuclear power plants operate through incredibly complex systems of control rods, coolant circulation, and safety mechanisms, all managed by sophisticated computer systems. These same computer systems are increasingly incorporating AI algorithms to optimize reactor performance, predict maintenance needs, and enhance safety protocols. It's a symbiotic relationship where each technology enhances the other. The economic implications are staggering. Amazon's multi-billion-dollar commitment to nuclear energy isn't just corporate virtue signaling. It's a strategic recognition that the future of cloud computing and AI depends on having access to massive amounts of reliable, clean energy. When Google partners with Kairos Power to develop small modular reactors, they're not just planning for next year, or even the next decade. They're positioning themselves for a future where energy becomes the ultimate competitive advantage. But perhaps the most fascinating aspect of this nuclear AI partnership is how it's driving innovation in both fields. The demanding requirements of AI data centers are pushing nuclear engineers to develop more efficient, more flexible reactor designs. Small modular reactors, with their ability to be deployed closer to energy demand and scaled according to need, represent a new generation of nuclear technology specifically designed for the digital age. These advanced reactors aren't your grandfather's nuclear plants. They're designed with inherent safety features that make meltdowns physically impossible, not just unlikely. They use new types of fuel that are more efficient and produce less waste. Some designs can even consume the nuclear waste from older reactors, turning yesterday's problems into tomorrow's fuel. The timing of this convergence is remarkable. Just as artificial intelligence is reaching a point where it can truly transform human society, nuclear technology is experiencing its own renaissance. The combination of these two transformative technologies creates possibilities that neither could achieve alone. We're looking at a future where AI systems, powered by clean nuclear energy, could help solve humanity's greatest challenges. Climate modeling powered by AI could help us understand and adapt to environmental changes. Medical research accelerated by artificial intelligence could lead to breakthroughs in treating diseases. Scientific discovery enhanced by AI could unlock new technologies we can barely imagine. The infrastructure requirements for this future are massive. We're not talking about building a few new power plants. We're talking about fundamentally reimagining how we generate, distribute, and consume energy. The data centers of the future will be more like small cities, with their own dedicated power sources, cooling systems, and support infrastructure. This transformation is already beginning. Tech companies are no longer content to simply purchase electricity from the grid. They're becoming energy companies themselves, investing in power generation and developing new technologies to meet their needs. The line between technology companies and energy companies is blurring, creating new hybrid entities that operate at the intersection of computation and power generation. The global implications are profound. Countries that successfully combine advanced AI capabilities with reliable nuclear power will have significant advantages in the emerging digital economy. This isn't just about having faster computers or more efficient algorithms. It's about having the energy infrastructure to support sustained innovation and development. As we stand at this technological crossroads, the partnership between nuclear power and artificial intelligence represents more than just a solution to an energy problem. It's a glimpse into a future where human ingenuity, supported by clean, abundant energy, can tackle challenges that seem impossible today. The question isn't whether nuclear energy is the solution to endless artificial intelligence power, but whether we're ready to embrace the transformative potential of this powerful partnership. Looking at where we are in this comprehensive exploration of nuclear energy and artificial intelligence, we need to address the critical challenges that lie ahead. The promise of nuclear-powered AI infrastructure faces significant hurdles that could determine whether this solution becomes reality or remains an ambitious vision. The construction timeline challenge presents perhaps the most immediate obstacle to nuclear-powered AI. While data centers consuming hundreds of megawatts of power are being planned for deployment within the next few years, nuclear reactors traditionally require 6 to 12 years to build and license. This creates a fundamental mismatch between the urgency of AI's energy demands and the deliberate pace of nuclear development. Even small modular reactors, designed for faster deployment, still require 3 to 5 years from groundbreaking to power generation. The question becomes whether the AI industry can wait for nuclear solutions, or if interim measures using fossil fuels will undermine long-term climate goals. Regulatory frameworks represent another formidable challenge. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has approved only one small modular reactor design in United States history, and the licensing process for new technologies remains complex and time-consuming. Each reactor type requires extensive safety testing, environmental impact assessments, and public consultation processes that can add years to deployment timelines. The regulatory uncertainty creates risks for tech companies making billion-dollar investments in nuclear infrastructure, as approval delays could render projects economically unviable. The economic reality of nuclear power adds another layer of complexity. While operating costs for nuclear plants are relatively low, the upfront capital requirements are enormous. Traditional nuclear plants cost over $10 billion, while even small modular reactors require investments of $2 to $5 billion. Tech companies must weigh these massive capital commitments against alternatives like renewable energy plus storage, which may offer faster deployment and lower financial risk. The economic case for nuclear becomes even more challenging when considering the potential for rapid improvements in battery technology that could make renewable energy storage more cost-effective. Public perception and political acceptance remain significant obstacles. Despite growing support for nuclear energy among policymakers and climate advocates, local communities often resist nuclear projects due to safety concerns and historical incidents like 3 Mile Island and Fukushima. The not-in-my-backyard phenomenon affects nuclear projects more than most other energy infrastructure, potentially limiting suitable locations for AI-focused nuclear facilities. Tech companies must navigate these political and social challenges while building public support for their nuclear initiatives. The skilled workforce shortage in nuclear engineering presents another bottleneck. The nuclear industry experienced decades of decline, leading to a significant reduction in nuclear engineers, technicians, and construction workers with relevant experience. Building the workforce needed to construct and operate hundreds of new reactors will require substantial investment in education and training programs. This human capital challenge could limit the speed at which nuclear projects can be deployed, regardless of regulatory approval or financing availability. Technical integration challenges arise when connecting nuclear plants to AI data centers. Unlike traditional power plants that feed electricity into the grid, AI-focused nuclear facilities may require direct connections to minimize transmission losses and ensure reliability. This creates engineering challenges around power conditioning, backup systems, and grid integration that must be solved on a case-by-case basis. The technical complexity increases when considering the need for load-following capabilities to match nuclear output with fluctuating AI workloads. Safety considerations take on new dimensions when nuclear plants are designed specifically for AI applications. The concentrated nature of AI workloads means that nuclear plant failures could have significant economic impacts beyond traditional power outages. The reliability requirements for AI training runs that cost millions of dollars to execute may exceed those of typical electricity customers, potentially requiring redundant safety systems and backup power sources that increase costs and complexity. International competition adds urgency to these challenges. China is rapidly expanding its nuclear capacity and developing advanced reactor technologies, potentially gaining advantages in AI development if their nuclear-powered data centers come online faster than Western alternatives. This geopolitical dimension creates pressure to accelerate nuclear deployment while maintaining safety standards, creating tension between speed and prudence in nuclear development. The waste management question becomes more pressing as nuclear capacity expands to serve AI applications. While modern reactor designs produce less radioactive waste than previous generations, the sheer scale of nuclear deployment required for AI infrastructure will generate substantial quantities of spent fuel that must be stored and eventually disposed of safely. The lack of permanent waste storage solutions in many countries, including the United States, creates long-term liabilities that tech companies must consider when investing in nuclear power. Climate change itself presents challenges for nuclear infrastructure. Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and changing precipitation patterns affect nuclear plant design and operation. Cooling water availability, which is crucial for nuclear plant operation, may become more variable due to droughts and changing river flows. These climate impacts create additional engineering challenges and potential reliability risks for nuclear-powered AI infrastructure. The intermittency question reveals a paradox in nuclear-powered AI. While nuclear plants traditionally operate best at constant output, AI workloads may vary significantly based on training schedules, model deployment patterns, and user demand. This mismatch between nuclear plant preferences for steady operation and AI workload variability creates challenges for efficient utilization of nuclear capacity. Solutions may require sophisticated load balancing, energy storage, or alternative uses for excess nuclear capacity during low AI demand periods. Despite these challenges, the convergence of climate necessity, technological advancement, and economic incentives continues to drive innovation in nuclear-powered AI infrastructure. The companies and countries that successfully navigate these obstacles may gain significant advantages in the artificial intelligence revolution, while those that fail to address energy constraints may find their AI ambitions limited by power availability. The next few years will likely determine whether nuclear energy becomes the backbone of AI infrastructure or whether alternative solutions emerge to meet this unprecedented energy demand. Looking at our cosmic journey through the universe's grand story, we arrive at our final movement, the culmination of everything nuclear energy represents for humanity's artificial intelligence ambitions. The numbers are staggering and undeniable. By 2030, data centers will consume between 325 and 580 terawatt-hours of electricity annually in the United States alone. To put this in perspective, that's approaching the total electricity consumption of entire nations like Germany or Japan. The artificial intelligence revolution isn't just changing how we work, communicate, and live. It's fundamentally reshaping global energy demand on a scale we've never witnessed before. Traditional approaches to powering this digital transformation are proving inadequate. Solar and wind, for all their environmental benefits, face the fundamental limitation of intermittency. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, yet artificial intelligence systems require constant, uninterrupted power to function. Battery storage technology, while improving, remains expensive and requires massive physical footprints that make it impractical for the scale of energy storage needed to support large data centers running entirely on renewables. The fossil fuel alternative presents its own challenges. Natural gas plants can provide reliable baseload power, but they come with significant carbon emissions that conflict with the tech industry's ambitious net zero commitments. Coal is increasingly being phased out due to environmental concerns and economics. The stark reality is that neither renewable nor fossil fuel solutions alone can meet the unique demands of artificial intelligence infrastructure. This is where nuclear energy emerges as the singular solution that addresses every critical requirement simultaneously. Nuclear power plants provide the most reliable baseload electricity generation available, operating at capacity factors exceeding 90%. They can run continuously for months without interruption, providing the stable, predictable power that AI systems absolutely require. Unlike renewable sources, nuclear power generation is not subject to weather conditions, seasonal variations, or time-of-day fluctuations. The environmental credentials of nuclear energy are compelling. Modern nuclear plants produce virtually no greenhouse gas emissions during operation, making them ideal for companies seeking to minimize their carbon footprint while dramatically scaling their energy consumption. A single nuclear plant can provide the same amount of clean electricity as thousands of wind turbines or millions of solar panels, but with a fraction of the land use and none of the intermittency issues. From an economic perspective, nuclear energy offers long-term cost stability that other sources cannot match. While the upfront capital costs are significant, nuclear plants have operational lifespans of 60 to 80 years, with fuel costs representing only a small fraction of total operating expenses. This provides predictable energy costs over decades, which is crucial for companies making long-term infrastructure investments in artificial intelligence capabilities. The technological advancement in nuclear reactor design makes this solution even more attractive. Small modular reactors represent a paradigm shift in nuclear technology, offering enhanced safety features, shorter construction timelines, and the ability to scale capacity incrementally. These reactors can be located closer to data centers, reducing transmission losses and improving grid reliability. Their modular design allows for mass production, which should drive down costs and construction times compared to traditional large-scale nuclear plants. Major technology companies have already recognized nuclear energy's potential and are making substantial investments. Microsoft's agreement to restart 3 Mile Island, Amazon's multi-billion-dollar commitment to small modular reactors, and Google's partnership with Kairos Power demonstrate that the industry's leading companies view nuclear energy as essential to their artificial intelligence strategies. These aren't experimental investments. They're strategic commitments to ensure reliable, clean power for the next generation of AI infrastructure. The safety record of modern nuclear technology addresses many historical concerns. Advanced reactor designs incorporate passive safety systems that automatically shut down reactors without human intervention or external power sources. The new generation of reactors cannot experience the types of accidents that occurred at Chernobyl or Fukushima. Small modular reactors, in particular, are designed with inherent safety features that make catastrophic failures physically impossible. Regulatory frameworks are evolving to accommodate these new technologies. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has approved the first small modular reactor design in the United States, and streamlined licensing processes are being developed specifically for advanced reactor technologies. International cooperation on nuclear safety standards and best practices continues to improve, creating a global framework for safe nuclear deployment. The scalability of nuclear energy solutions matches the scope of artificial intelligence's growth trajectory. As AI systems become more sophisticated and widespread, their energy requirements will continue to expand exponentially. Nuclear power plants can be sized to meet these growing demands, from small modular reactors serving individual data centers to large plants powering entire regions of AI infrastructure. Grid integration benefits extend beyond just providing power. Nuclear plants can provide essential grid services like frequency regulation and voltage support that help maintain electrical system stability. As more variable, renewable energy sources are added to the grid, nuclear power provides the stable foundation that keeps the entire electrical system functioning reliably. The geopolitical implications of nuclear energy for AI infrastructure are significant. Countries with robust nuclear capabilities will have competitive advantages in artificial intelligence development and deployment. Nuclear energy provides energy security that reduces dependence on volatile fossil fuel markets and foreign energy suppliers. This energy independence is crucial for maintaining technological leadership in artificial intelligence. Innovation in nuclear technology continues to accelerate, driven partly by the demands of AI infrastructure. Advanced reactor designs, improved fuel cycles, and enhanced safety systems are all benefiting from increased investment and research attention. The fusion energy breakthrough achieved at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, while still years from commercial deployment, represents the ultimate long-term solution for unlimited clean energy. The economic multiplier effects of nuclear energy investment extend far beyond the energy sector. Nuclear plants create high-paying jobs, stimulate local economies, and support advanced manufacturing capabilities. The skills and technologies developed for nuclear energy applications often find uses in other industries, creating broader economic benefits. Looking toward the future, the convergence of artificial intelligence and nuclear energy represents a fundamental shift in how we approach both technology and energy policy. The massive computational requirements of advanced AI systems, from training large language models to running real-time inference for billions of users, demand energy solutions that can scale without compromising reliability or environmental goals. The timeline for this transformation is compressed. Unlike previous energy transitions that unfolded over decades, the AI energy crisis is immediate and accelerating. Companies cannot wait for perfect solutions. They need reliable, scalable, clean energy now. Nuclear energy provides the only realistic path to meet these urgent requirements while maintaining long-term sustainability goals. Nuclear energy isn't just a solution to artificial intelligence's power demands. It's the foundation that will enable the next phase of human technological advancement. The same reliable, abundant energy that powers data centers can also support other emerging technologies like quantum computing, advanced manufacturing, and space exploration. Nuclear energy creates the energy abundance necessary for continued innovation and economic growth. The question isn't whether nuclear energy will power artificial intelligence. It's how quickly we can deploy these solutions to meet the rapidly growing demand. Every month of delay in nuclear deployment means more reliance on fossil fuels, higher energy costs, and greater environmental impact. The technology exists, the economics are favorable, and the regulatory frameworks are developing. What's needed now is the will to act decisively. In conclusion, nuclear energy represents the most viable, scalable, and sustainable solution to artificial intelligence's unprecedented energy demands. It provides the reliability, capacity, and environmental benefits that no other energy source can match. The major technology companies driving the AI revolution have already recognized this reality and are making substantial investments in nuclear power. The convergence of artificial intelligence and nuclear energy will define the next chapter of human technological progress, creating opportunities for innovation, economic growth, and environmental stewardship that seemed impossible just a few years ago. The future of artificial intelligence depends on abundant, reliable, clean energy. Nuclear power provides the foundation for that future, ensuring that the transformative potential of artificial intelligence can be realized without compromising our environmental goals or economic stability. The time for action is now, and nuclear energy is the answer to powering humanity's artificial intelligence ambitions. And so, we return from the crossroads of energy and intelligence, a future still unwritten, but filled with quiet choices that echo across generations. Whether or not nuclear power becomes the heartbeat of AI, one thing is clear: how we power the future will shape who we become in it. Thank you for staying with me tonight. This is boring science. I wish you a very good night, sleep well, and keep wondering. Cheers.